Hello everyone, welcome back to another Friday and another casual champion review. Been a bit, hasn't it? Whole week I missed by accident. Not by accident at all. I'm very burnt out. You guys don't even know the amount of work I've been putting in without telling you about it all. I've been kind of teasing it a little bit on my socials about what I've been working on. It is for school, believe it or not, and I am very tired. I did not get a winter break at all. It doesn't help that the champion that I had to play for the next casual review was Nilah, which is a character I do not enjoy playing at all because I'd rather be playing Samira instead, and we'll talk about that a bit as the video goes on. But I suppose we get on with the post-me transition, please. Thank you, past me. Transition is here. Fan art section. Yes, look at the fan arts, the Nilahs. Sorry, all the fellas who made this like a week or so ago, and I'm late to adding this, but it is absolutely amazing. And obviously, casual review, the fan art section is probably one of the main reasons I keep this going, because it just does make me joyous. That's poetic because the character we're playing today. Thank you, fellas. It's amazing. I love it. Thank you so much. I think I'm also kind of pissed off with playing Nilah because I can't play her mid lane or jungle. Usually when I play these casual reviews, I like to go a bit off meta or go somewhere fun, a role a bit more relaxing like jungle or mid lane. Well, say jungle's relaxing, you know what I mean. But Nilah is kind of intrinsically designed to be played in the bot lane with a partner, and at the same time, I'm also playing in what appears to be Masters Elo for whatever the hell reason. Like I'm playing it at a weird time. I'm playing midday on a Wednesday. Like, is that a weird time? It's Christmas holidays. Why am I playing with Masters players, man? This sucks. So commentating on this game is going to be a little bit stressful. So the people who don't know about Nilah's lore, she was raised in Kathkan, which is the neighboring region to Camivore, the one that Viego's from and collapsed. And because of its collapse, Kathkan has been quite prosperous in those 1,000 years. But because it's been so prosperous and peaceful, there's no need for any kind of great heroes or warriors. And Nilah, or she wasn't known as Nilah at the time, she was just some scrawny, lanky girl, but the bookworm she was, obsessed over these stories of great heroes. She found every book, every tale she could find, stuff like the great wars of the past, the Mad King, dragons. The one that especially caught her eye was the tale of Ashlash, the Lord of Joy, who hungered for the world's happiness and joy, attempting to consume it all, and eventually to obtain that tried to consume the... That's not a friend. I'm so out of it. I thought Rengar was an ally. Ashlash wanted to consume all the world's joy, eventually trying to consume the realm of the gods themselves. I don't know why that's the most joyous thing it could think of, but Ashlash was defeated and imprisoned by the celestial gods in a lake deep below Kathkan's capital, within the so-called 7th layer of the world, and eternally guarded by an order of heroes. What the 7th layer actually is, and who those order of heroes are, I mean like 7th layer of the Earth's crust. But obsessed with this tale, Nilah was determined to uncover this order of heroes, and potentially Ashlash itself. And then she disappeared for over a decade. But pretty much instantaneously as she disappeared, the memories of her also disappeared. Any written literature, her name, memories from her family and friends, all of it was erased as if she'd never existed. Have you guys ever seen Spider-Man? No Way Inside the House? It's kind of like the Doctor Strange spell where he made everybody forget who Peter Parker was. But 10 years later, Nilah emerged from the 7th layer, adopting the name Nilah, which I think was the name of the lake in the 7th layer. Adopting this name, but also having this exceptional power at her side. No one really knows what happened to her down there in those 10 years. Bot lane moment. People think maybe did she learn magic from the Order of the Heroes? Was she a mere puppet of Ashlash? Did she defeat it and use its power for herself? Who knows? All that people can see is she is overflowing with tremendous joy permanently, as if it's the only emotion she feels. And she set out on a quest to become a great hero herself, slaying various beasts and myths of legend to become a legend herself, meeting Graves, inquiring about Viego. She ended up fighting numerous demons and champions like Volibear and Mordekaiser. Whether that's canon anymore is anyone's guess, and that's kind of where she's been left off. I don't imagine they're really gonna do anything with her ever, to be honest. The way I view it is that it was always kind of a miracle to me that Riot actually remembered that Ishtal exists, because I know the League's Zoomers will see characters like Melio, Skarner, and Malphite being in Ishtal. Oh, Ishtal's got a lot of champions, but most of the champions in Ishtal were one, retconned into being a part of that region, but also they did get some attention finally in the last year, whereas when it was introduced alongside Kiana, she was the only champion to become part of that region. Nilah, however, is still and probably will be the only champion from Kathkan, which kind of begs the question of why Kathkan needs to exist at all. Ishtal at least had the benefit of being actually on the Runeterran map. Oh, Xerath. Oh yes, I will just yoink that, thank you. I'm an 80 carry, I deserve every single bit of thing that goes my way correctly, and also nothing is my fault. It's always my team, and I earned that kill. Nilah always weirded me out, not because she expanded the demonology of Runeterra, because I think the demonology of Runeterra is absolutely awesome. I think the weird thing about Nilah is that she kind of mucked up the entire system. Because up until Nilah, we had a very strict law and order for how demons worked. They had a very specific ranking and power level. You had Fiddlesticks as the top of the top, the first of 10, the primal embodiment of fear. And then you had full demons like Tom Kench, Nocturne, Evelyn that prey on more specific fears. You had the lesser demons that take on the attributes of those full demons, still preying on those same fears, just not nearly as powerful. And then you have the Azakana, which play on individual persons' hyper-specific fear. You can see the pattern, right? Like, all the demons focus primarily on fear. There's ones that focus on stuff like agony and despair, but that's similar enough to fear, especially with stuff like Evelyn and Tom Kench. They're still operating on fear, just a very specific kind of fear. But then Ashlash comes along, and Ashlash is the demon of joy, which that is the polar opposite of fear in pretty much every single way. Come on, wait. I did it. Nope. And that wouldn't be as strange if Ashlash wasn't one of the 10 kings, one of the 10 original demons, because that implies that not every of the 10 kings actually is fear. You have Fiddlesticks, who's fear, then you have Ashlash, who's joy. Does that imply there's a anger demon? Is there a sadness? Is there a disgust? It's just making an Inside Out movie at this point. That messes things up a bit, because so far, pretty much every demon we've seen has some tie to fear, but then Ashlash comes along. Does that mean, like with Fiddlesticks, there's a tree essentially of demons of fear? There's also a tree of demons of joy. How come we never seen any of those? What about the other 10 kings? Is there a tree of demons of sadness, of disgust, of anger? It makes things very confusing, and one that was originally very easy to understand but was also very interesting. I'm not against opening it up and adding more possibilities for demons in the future, but we already have so many demons that designing Ashlash this way kind of makes it so, well, we've only seen a 10th, less than a 10th of what the actual demons are. That was an accidentally good segue as well, because we don't actually know what Ashlash looks like either. In all the teasers, we saw this stuff with multi-hands, like he was going to be some big demon with all these limbs all over the place, and we don't really get to see Ashlash at all. Editing Nicholas J. Boy here, actually, Nilah does use Ashlash in one of her emotes, so, you know, he's a hand. I guess that's something. It's kind of like the same thing with Raum and Swain. We don't get to see Raum at all, but the distinction there is that we know for certain, 100% guarantee, that Swain has completely conquered Raum. And Raum is also a full demon, not nearly as powerful as one of the 10 kings. With Nilah, it's unclear whether she's fully conquered Ashlash, whether she's influenced by it, and again, is one of the 10 kings, one of the most powerful demons, most powerful entities that exist on Runeterra. I would have liked to see Ashlash at least a little bit in game somehow. There's also the thing about Nilah that she was supposed to be our first Bilgewater champion. Since Pike, that is. She was our first Bilgewater champion in almost half a decade. And to see, well, she's not really Bilgewater at all. She's kind of just doing her own thing from Kothcon. I don't dislike Nilah. I just think she's very plain looking. Do you know what I mean?
Bilgewater is nice.
Oh, see, there, thanks, Nilah. Yes, you're not even from Bilgewater. Oh, dear. Thank God LOR exists, though, because at least we got to see a taste of Kothcon through that. Without LOR, we probably wouldn't have known what Kothcon looks like at all. It would have been like Ishtal. We just get little glimpses of concept art, and that's about it. But now that we've seen Kothcon, it looks like how we suspected with Nilah. It's very South Asian, Indian-inspired. Even the follower characters like Vikrash and the Helmsman, Elephant, Vastaya, Water Wizard, like, god damn, that guy's cool. Nilah herself, in comparison, always just felt very bland. I think it's probably because her coat is primarily just too yellow dominated and the fabrics are way too plain. Don't worry, Poppy, I'll save you, see? You can dodge auto attacks like me. I think I'm dead. I'm not trying to say either that making a character overly complicated in design is what automatically makes them better. Not at all. It's just strange that for a character like Nilah, where she's supposed to be a legend, wielding this phenomenal power, and yet she looks remarkably unremarkable. Especially if you compare it to some of the other Kothconi followers. Again, the Helmsman. But even if you look at the human characters, the Chakram Dancer, look at her in comparison to Nilah. Like, good God, the way the fabric cloaks over her, the mask, the brilliant mix of purple and yellow. I would just prefer if Nilah was wearing that outfit, to be honest, because I don't think there's necessarily a problem with Nilah's design. I think if you're trying to take a new direction, you're trying to make a new region, of course she's not going to look like she's actually from Bilgewater. It's just strange that all of her followers look infinitely more interesting than she does. And she's not exactly a subtle person either. Kind of her whole thing is about being very exaggerated and all over the place, joyous and boundless. So it kind of make more sense for her to be a bit more overcomplicated, her design to be a bit more energetic and eye-popping, I think. And for the Bilgewater part, she technically lives in Bilgewater, sort of. She lives in Oyster Bill's shack, or I forget what it was called. Oyster Bill's something or other. She's living in Bilgewater, so a little anything, like even a trinket to signify that she's living in Bilgewater would have been nice for all the people who wanted a Bilgewater champion after so long. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, please, Shen. Oh, I live, though. It's one of those weird characters where I definitely see the potential of what she could have been. Feels like they kind of held themselves back a lot. Especially, I would have liked a bit more Ashlash imagery at all. I'm not saying to have Ashlash out on the time, but you could have done stuff like in the concept art where she has these tattoos. What if she had big handprint tattoos all over herself? That would have been kind of cool. But enough about her design. Nilah's gameplay is where she kind of hurts the most for me. You can probably tell I'm not having the most amount of fun right now. And that's primarily because playing Nilah just makes me wish I was playing Samira instead. Like I'm playing the alternate strange version of her. I use the term Samira's Echo Fighter a lot, which admittedly is a bit of an over-exaggeration, but they do have a lot of really strange similarities. If you boil it down to the fundamentals, both of them are short-ranged ADCs designed to jump into the middle of the entire team with a big AoE circle damaging and healing ult, while at the same time using point-and-click ease to dash to their opponents through their opponents and using the W to evade attacks. The main distinction is that Nilah has built-in synergy with enchanter supports, benefiting more off healing and shielding, sharing a portion of that with herself. Whereas Samira is the opposite. She has built-in synergy with engaged supports, having that extra bit of crowd control and damage when an ally hits a bit of CC. Oh, they're not identical, but maybe you can kind of see what I mean, where they have enough in common with each other that it kind of feels like, well, it's close enough to that character that I really like, but not quite, or something feels off. Like I'm not enjoying myself. Like getting the wrong kind of cereal brand. Like they're out of your favorite brand flakes and oh, I gotta get the bootleg kind. Oh, I guess this is kind of what I like, but not really. It's got the right kind of texture, but not the right flavors. Though I think I am definitely heavily influenced by my love for engaged supports and disdain for enchanter supports in that variety. I would much rather play as, with, and against an engaged support than an enchanter. So playing a character who is inherently at a disadvantage without an enchanter support just sucks. This is actually the fourth game I think I've played of Nilah to try and record for this casual review, and multiple times I've had like support Shaco or Rel or Blitzcrank or just roaming supports that leave the lane and don't have built-in healing and shielding for allies. Especially with Nilah's whole shared XP thing, now having roaming supports is even more of a detriment. It's also why Nilah can't be played mid or jungle or anything, because if you play without a partner, you're at an immediate disadvantage. You're not making use of your own passive. You have Mordekaiser's old passive when he got reworked for the first time. Give me back Nico, please. I just wanna play Samira instead. If you like Nilah, please tell me why. If you think I'm completely wrong about her being an Echo Fighter of Samira or whatever, please tell me. It's like Malzahar. I'm in complete disbelief that people actually enjoy playing this character. With Malzahar, because he bores me to tears. With Samira, see, Samira's just on my brain. But with Nilah, it just feels like I'm playing a worse version of a character I actually like, and it pisses me off. Which double stinks because I actually like her as a character. Again, I think the potential of the Cathcon aesthetic is absolutely phenomenal. And her personality is fun. Just a character who's very happy and jovial. The idea that she could be a character who feels nothing but happiness. Personally, I would take that well over infinite fear or infinite sadness. If you're going to be cursed to feel one kind of emotion permanently, happiness is a pretty good one, I'd say. You're trying to go in that toxic positivity route. They could definitely go in a fun direction with that if they ever decide to use her for the future, which again, it feels like a kind of character that they release and just forget about, which probably in tandem with the skins, because they also released her at the same time as the big Star Guardian Summer event. I don't know why Riot keeps doing this. Akshan, Nilah, Naafiri, Aurora, all these champions with these really weird kits are released at the exact same time as the massive summer event and completely crushed under the hype of that. All those champions, I bet you forgot half of them even existed. Those big summer events, I think anyway, are definitely hype enough on their own. They do not need to have a new champion release at the same time, and again, just squanders their hype. And Nilah especially got no time in the sun because she released practically a patch after Bel'Veth. At least Bel'Veth got this big cinematic cutscene and got a full month to herself to build up hype, but Nilah was at the exact same time as Star Guardian, got no time in the sun at all, and evident especially by how she was even treated in Star Guardian. She was just the elder who's been there the whole time. Like, no, you haven't, Nilah, just inserting yourself in the story. You don't need to be here. They could say that about pretty much all the Star Guardian characters from that year. You could probably remove every single Star Guardian save for Kaisa, Kali, Morgana, and Fiddlesticks and be the same story practically. So she got kind of done dirty in that aspect. Again, alongside the whole idea of her being so similar to I can block that, Rango. I was gonna mention you in a moment, because this is my proposition for what to do with Nilah next. I think if we're gonna have Nilah in anything, it needs to be its own new game. She has her crew already in LOR, and that's great. I like her crew. But my proposition is that Riot Games makes a Monster Hunter game. Just a Monster Hunter style game with 4-party system, and we get the Monster Hunting champions together. We get a crew of Nilah, Cassante, Vayne, and Rengar, and they go around Runeterra hunting big monsters together because they all like doing that. I think that would be sick as hell. And I can really imagine the idea of Nilah, this super always happy and peppy character, bouncing off the constantly depressed and sad and moody Vayne. I want to see that so badly. And I think even Cassante, for as happy as he is, might be a little annoyed by Nilah's overabundant positivity. I think Nilah is just booming with potential for a character to exist outside of League of Legends. I just think as she is, Riot is never gonna give her the time of day. She hardly even gets any skins. I think, does she only have Star Guardian and I think she only has Star Guardian and Coven. Well, that looks about it for this week's Casual Champion Review, everyone. Ironically, next week we get to talk about a demon. Wow. Next week we get to talk about an actual demon champion, Nocturne. So thank you for watching, fellas. Have yourself a good weekend, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.